Here's how to avoid the costly dangers of tax deed title done incorrectly. We're going to do a live deep dive example so you can find the most profitable tax deeds, and we're going to show you a horror story that we saw at an auction last month of this poor lady. She lost $197,000 at a tax deed auction because she didn't know how to do title. The sad thing is every month at the auctions, we see people losing money on tax deeds because they don't know how to research title. In fact, tax deeds can be one of the best investments out there to create wealth and residual income. The biggest problem is people screw it up. They buy something where there's a huge problem with the title. So we're going to do a live training here today. We're going to start with an amazing deal. The opening bid's $2,000. It's worth $250. And we're going to do a deep dive. So you'll be able to follow along from home with this thing and go find your own deals and get out there and start doing it. And what I recommend, this is going to be an advanced long form training. You can watch it through once and then go back and follow along. Now, in order to do this, we're going to bring in the dream team and we're going to get it done. So I'm going to hand it over to the live and we're going to go to a real world example right now. Welcome everybody to the Tax Deed Title 101. We're going to talk today about how to avoid the dangers. We're going to do some live examples going through title. Our goal is to turn you into title machines so you can avoid the mistakes. So obviously, without further ado, introduce the dream team here. Mr. Josh Blanchard. How you doing, sir? Mr.
Hello,
Corey.
hello.
Yo.
Good afternoon.
So we're going to do this live. We're going to do a live deep dive. You know, these days we really realize the benefits of doing things live. And especially in a world these days where it's hard to tell like what's real, right? Well, we can tell you that this is a real live. And without further ado, we're going to dive in. Josh has a great property here. Opening bid's $2,000. It's worth $250,000. And Josh, let's just dive in. We're going to do real live title examples, and we're going to do it. So let's do it.
Okay. My screen is popping up here. Yeah, everything's looking good.
Looking good.
Beautiful. Okay, so what we're looking at today is Harris County in Texas, and this is a pretty sweet deal right here. You can see minimum bid $23.36, a judge value $230,000. And so, you know, if we just take this address, if we throw it into Zillow here, and we're probably a bit north, I would say, of the 230K range, actually built in 2005. So we got a nice house here with a very, very, very low open bid. So 2,300, there's a lot of room there to go up. Will it go up? Most likely. How high? You know, we don't know. We can't say. But you can see a lot of the other properties here have got much higher opening bids. Like this one's got 108. We go below that, we've got 8 on 116. But the spread here is extremely juicy. So I mean, where else can you get into auctions where the opening bid is so low, especially compared to the adjudged value? And it's not like it's just a one-off either. We've got 242 Norview here, minimum bid of $2,485, a judged value of $147,000. And so if you want to be able to look at this stuff, all of this is available for free directly from the county. It's hctax.net. And then from there, property/listings/tax sale listings. So while there are incredible deals, so this is $198,000, built 1950, 2-bed, 1-bath, 1,048 square feet. So opening bid, super low, right? $2,485. The thing is that Harris County is actually legit filled with landmines. And so the idea today, while showing that there are incredible, amazing deals here with, you know, extremely juicy returns that are available, you've got to know what you're doing when it comes to title, or else you could get into a really bad situation. And so we've been going consistently this year. We've hit every single auction, every single month in the year 2025 in Harris County. And generally, for the most part, I won't say anything to someone who's bidding. You know, it's not really my business. I don't want to get involved. But this last auction, I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I just couldn't do it. And what I saw at this auction past June actually mortified me. And so I saw people overpaying by 300, 400, 500%. Like they're going well beyond the value of the property. just because they hadn't done a title search, they hadn't done a lawsuit search, and they just didn't know what they were doing. And so the hope today is to give clarity. And we just don't want to see people get into this business and lose money. An example would be there was an HOA sale property in Harris County where it had a $300,000 mortgage on the property and it was worth $300,000. So there's no equity on that property. And then I saw someone bid it up to $100,000, and we hadn't done any more title search on it because we saw the $300,000 mortgage, but there may have been other liens. There could have been back taxes. And so today's video, we're going to give information away that generally we would charge so much money for, but the hope is that we don't see people making the same mistakes that we've seen thus far, because we just, again, we don't want to see people lose money. And it's so silly the way that some of these auctions are arranged. So as an example, actually, I'm going to, actually, I need to get that sheet back, but let me do this one more time. Mark, there it is. Okay. So as an example, here is a sample of our max bid sheet. So this is what we're walking into the auction with. And so we've got a property address. And so on the front end, we know, is it an HOA sale or is it a tax sale? And the biggest difference is that for a tax sale, everything is going to get wiped that you find on title, pending it's in the lawsuit. And for an HOA sale, nothing at all gets wiped except for the HOA fees. And so that's something that you always got to be really careful with and pay attention to. And if you're looking here, this is the county's website. If you're looking here, you're going to see type. See how it says sale? So that's a tax sale. If you see anything else, that is not a tax sale. So if we go back here, there should be a couple, maybe they're just not in here yet. Here's an example. It says EOS. So it's an execution sale, but it could be the HOA. It could be a lien holder. For the most part, they are HOAs. So we're still a little bit early here in the month. That's why this hasn't been fully updated yet. I would say in the next few days, that's when all of the constables have to get all of the properties in. You're going to see this list get way bigger. But every month, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of HOA sale properties that go to the auction. And again, if you're looking here, you're looking for the word sale. If you see EOS, that is not a tax sale. And so in the month of June, there was actually a lot of execution sale properties. This was initially the properties that we were interested in and that we were driving. You can see execution HOA. So that's where the HOA is foreclosing. Resale, that's where the property previously did not sell. And then sale is a regular tax sale. So what I saw were people bidding on HOA sale properties thinking that they were tax sale properties. And so I had actually stopped one person. Well, not that I stopped them, but I said, hey, this has got a mortgage on it. Did you know that? And they said, what? No. So I stopped them from buying more, but they had actually already bought two properties. They had dropped $197,000 at the auction without doing the title search, without doing any lawsuit search, and also not knowing the difference between the execution sales and the HOA sales. And so how can the county do this? Well, it's the same thing with all tax sales across the country. If you come in here, the first thing that they give you is buyer beware. And so this is nationwide. This is one of the greatest reasons why, though there's so much opportunity here, is there's no middleman, which can be great. There's nobody representing the county. They just post it. But the thing is that they're not guaranteeing anything. So they're saying we cannot guarantee ownership, encumbrances, or lien interests have been accounted for or extinguished. And so that is on us. And so it's no problem, but you just have to make sure that you know what you're doing. And so today, we're going to go through one time a full title search and a full lawsuit search. So it's pretty cool. If your brain is hurting from watching this, don't worry about it. Just relax and just soak up the information. And we do this every month as well with students. You know, at an auction trip, we might do like 25 of these. And what's really cool is we'll see people start to get it. But the first one does hurt, so don't worry about it. But we do want to get the process out there, and we just don't want to see people losing money. So one of the most... Sorry, Dustin?
If I could just interject for the algorithms, everything that we're going to show is public information. So we're not showing or pulling back curtains on things that are, hidden behind barriers. Everything here is public information that anybody can go access at any time. So we like to put that out there because sometimes these videos will be like, oh, you're exposing things. It's like we're just showing the information that is public to the entire world.
Exactly. Yeah, this is all available. Nothing is hidden. All right. So one of the most interesting ones, sorry, there's two. There's two that are extremely interesting. We might try to hit both. We'll see how time is going. But I'll tell you two of the ones that were most interesting. And I actually needed to use our AI tool quite a bit to unravel this. So this one, 9607 Dapple Lane. What's crazy is that this one, no, it's not that one. It's the one above it. Yes. Okay. What's wild is that when we did a title search on this one, Barnby Drive, this is a tax sale property. The wild thing about Barnby Drive is that the HOA is also trying to foreclose on them. And so in Texas and Florida, the HOA has the ability and they have the power to foreclose on a property. That's not something you have to worry about anywhere else. But as you know, we're huge fans of Texas. There's tons of opportunity there. But this is a separate angle that you need to be careful of. And so we did the title search and we identified that the HOA was going to foreclose on them if they did not get the HOA fees paid. And the HOA fees were not part of the opening bid. It was something entirely separate. It wasn't in the lawsuit. So whoever buys this property at the auction, if they don't quickly after pay the HOA fees, the HOA would actually foreclose on them and they would lose their interest. So this case was actually incredibly mind-bending. It took maybe about an hour to go through the entire thing, and it also required using AI to get total clarity on it. So that's one of the most interesting cases that we saw recently, because if someone bought this, our max bid was $81,000. If someone bought this for $81,000 and they did not pay the HOA fees, then the HOA would foreclose, and that would be a huge mess. The second one is an HOA sale. And so I'm not going to talk about this one. This is the one that we're going to do because it is an HOA sale. And so you've got to think of it differently. So for this one particular property, because it is an HOA property, nothing gets wiped. So we're going to approach it differently versus a tax sale where everything gets wiped. So the first thing that we've got to do to do our title search, and what's the whole point of the title search, is we just simply need to uncover everything that is on the chain of title that's relevant. And so all interested parties, and so since it is an HOA sale, we got to account for a mortgage, if there's multiple interested parties, if there's a mechanics lien, if anything that is on title, we just have to make a note of. So when we do these title searches, we're just simply accounting for everything that we find. And so having a piece of paper and pen is helpful. And we're just going to be writing down everything that we find on this property. So that would be the first step. So that's going to be the title search. And so to do that title search, I'm going to show you where to go. I'll actually just get rid of my website so that we can do it from scratch. Generally, what you're going to do is type the county name, then deed search. So we're going to try Harris County, deed search. And generally, without fail, it is the first thing that shows up here. So if you send us a message and you say, hey, I'm trying to find the title search website, I can't find it. I got to tell you, most times we literally just Google that and then it comes right up. And so if that is happening to you, and there has been a legit reason where this didn't show up for someone, and that's if you're using a website like Bing or Yahoo or something else. But if you are using Google, then it should come up right away. So it's the first website there, Real Property Records. And so there's a couple different ways that you can search for things. Generally, it's going to be by the name, first and last name there, but you can also search by legal description. And so a reason that you may want to search by legal description versus name is that sometimes we've actually seen names get spelled wrong. Remember, this is done manually by county workers. And so we've seen all kinds of wild things. We've even seen subdivision names not done properly as well. An example would be maybe this subdivision is Southwest Crossings, and they would spell out the word Southwest, but then one time they actually typed SW. And so part of doing a title search is making sure that you're thorough. And so if there's a name that, let's take Jonathan, for instance, if you have the name Jonathan, like Jonathan Smith, you may also want to just try searching John Smith, Jonathan Smith, J Smith, any kind of variations, because again, this can be kind of finicky. All right. So we've got the property address, but what we don't have is the name. And so you're always going to be searching by the name. So I'm actually going to go to the appraisal website with Harris County. So I can go, it's called HCAD, Harris County Appraisal District. If you just type the name though, same thing, Harris County Appraisal Search, anything like that. So we're going to do a property search. Let's grab that property address here, 13714 Broken Bridge. So it's not coming up. I've just got to shorten this up so that it can actually find it. Let me go one more time. There we go. All right, so what you can see here, and again, just for the algorithm, this is all public information. So we've got a house that's appraised at $239,000. And at the time of this, the opening bid was $2,539. So we're really into this. This is sweet. And we drove the property. It's a beautiful home. But remember, this isn't a tax sale. This is an HOA sale. And so while it is at the tax sale, a lot of people don't know that it's different. And so when we do a title search on this, it is a bit different because nothing gets wiped. So just remember that for HOA sales, which are at tax sales. But it's just another opportunity and another angle to get some good deals. So here you can see the legal description. It's funny. You know how I mentioned Southwest Crossing? That's this property. So we've got lot 75, block 2. Then this is the subdivision, Southwest Crossing, section 4. And then we've also got the owner's name, Joseph Kelly Wells. Generally, they put the first name at the end sometimes, and sometimes they have it reversed. I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste what is here first. I'm going to throw that in. And there's two different ways you could search this: grantor on the left and then grantee on the right. When you think of this, think of it going from the left to the right. So if someone bought the property, if he bought the property, his name would be here. If he sold the property, his name would be here. So if someone's selling something, it's going to be going from the left to the right. And if someone's buying something, they're going to be receiving it on the right. So a bit confusing, but it'll make sense, I think, as we go into this. All right, so Joseph Kelly Wells, that's her name. And here we go. So we're starting to pull up some records, which is really cool. We're excited about that. We like that works. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that our address, the legal description is Southwest Crossing, Southwest Crossing, Southwest Crossing. We've got all of that here, but we've also got West Hampton. So this is another property of theirs. It's not our property. We are looking for Southwest Crossing 475-2. Let me just double check that. For section 475, block 2. So great. Now it can get a bit confusing if you're searching a business, for instance, and that business has, let's say they've got, which would be crazy, but it's happened. Let's say they've got like 5 properties in the same area. You may then have the same description. You might even have a similar lot, block, section, but they should be different. And so there was a time that we had one and we really had to sift through and sort through. That's where you just got to stay calm and take one at a time. Now, right now, we've got a whole bunch of different things here. I'm going to go ahead and sort this by file date so that it can tell me a bit of a story. And so here we go. We've got the warranty deed. So this is the very first record that we see. Warranty deed for March 12th, 2018. So I can go ahead and I can open that up. Why? Just because sometimes it's not actually a warranty deed, and we want to go ahead and see this. So in this case, we can see that it was a transfer. Someone had deceased, so we can see all of the interested parties there transferring their interest. Actually, 2 people. And then, are there any exceptions? There are none. So that's kind of one of the things I'm looking for when I open up a warranty deed is, are there any exceptions? The reason is in Texas, sometimes people will actually transfer something, classify it as a warranty deed, but it's not actually a warranty deed. So that's the only reason I say that. And so right now, if some of the terminology is a bit confusing, um, I went through the exact same thing when I got started too. And so when I look at this right now, I know what all of these things are, but don't let that stop you. And so if I say the word warranty deed and you're not sure what it is, what you could do is you could certainly Google it, but we've got an AI tool and we've got there's like a title section in it. So I could say I've never. I hope I don't mess with the AI here. I don't want it to think that I've never bought a property before, but I'm going to say that for this. I've never bought a property before and am doing a title search. Explain to me simply what is a warranty deed. And so this was my life starting out, was really just Googling, or and now that we've got AI, using AI or Googling to find out and understand what these words are. So here's a simple breakdown. The seller, grantor, is saying, I legally own this property and I'm giving you a clean title. If it turns out there's a problem with ownership, even from before I owned it, I'll take responsibility and fix it. So a warranty deed is the strongest kind of deed. And so the buyer, the grantee, gets peace of mind because the seller is legally promising they own the property. No one else has a claim on it. If any old issues come up, the seller will defend the title, even in court. And so I've got these different categories up here, and I've got like a Texas tax deed expert. And so what's really cool is that's catered to Texas, which is great. I'm just kind of in the generic section right now, but these are super handy for that. But if I would say, can you simplify this even more? Just going to give it the breakdown. Just a promise to the seller from the buyer that they fully own the property. There are no hidden problems. And so that's why I mentioned that sometimes it's going to say it's a warranty deed, but in this case, this isn't even actually a warranty deed. This is an administrative deed, administration deed. They didn't classify it the right way. And so sometimes you also open up what they call a warranty deed, and it's actually a special warranty deed with a vendor's lien, which is and it's just another way of saying a mortgage. So if this part right here is starting to kind of feel like, oh, what are all these terminology? What are all these words? You can't let it stop you. Again, for free, you could just be going on to Google and searching, and that's what I did when I started out. And then we've also got AI to help as well, which is really cool. So that's our first thing. We just got this warranty deed, well, administration deed. From there, we've got an affidavit. But so if I was writing things down at this point, back in 2018, how many people are on title? How many interested parties are there? And it's just these two. So Joseph Kelly and Young's Aaron. So there's two people on title. So that's important. After that, we've got an affidavit. So in this, it's just a correction administration deed. They're simply making a correction. And it looks like what they're doing is only Joseph Kelly is now on title. So you can see here, it's two people. And then from there, after the affidavit, now it's one. So just one person on title. The reason that's important is if there were two people on title and they had different mailing addresses, they would need to notify both of those people. And so if you were to only notify one, that could be falling short. If only one person was named in the lawsuit, that would not be including all of the interested parties. So that's just why I mentioned that. And then from there, we've got another deed. This is just another correction administration deed. So they just made another correction, but nothing has actually changed other than what happened back here. So at this point in the title search, we found the warranty deed, we got an affidavit, we got a correction. These are both corrections, but here is a lien. And so for an HOA sale, if we did find a lien, that would not get wiped. But do you remember how early on, though, I mentioned the only thing that is going to get wiped is the HOA fees. And so we can see that this is an HOA lien. You can see the grantor. Remember, it's coming from the grantor to the grantee. So this is Southwest Crossing Homeowners Association filing a lien against Joseph. And so that's no surprise because they are foreclosing on Joseph for unpaid HOA fees. And so I don't need to worry about this because this is going to be part of the opening bid. And again, the only reason I know that is because the HOA, they're the only one who's going to get wiped from the sale. They're the only one who's going to get, they're the only ones who are getting money. And so everything else is going to stick. But if this was a different lien, then I would have to take that into consideration. And then from there, we have an AJ, which is called an abstract of judgment. Let's get explain an abstract judgment to me like I'm in high school. So it just should simplify it. So imagine someone goes to court and wins a lawsuit. Maybe someone owed them money and didn't pay. A judgment is the official court decision that says this person owes you money. An abstract of judgment is like taking that court decision and turning it into a public record. It gets filed with the county so everyone can see that someone owes money. So super helpful. So someone owes someone money and we can see that it is the Southwest Crossing Homeowners Association saying that Joseph owes them money. So if we open up that document, here is the abstract of judgment. What we can see is the amount of the judgment. And this is just another reason why this is so insane, is that most likely it's 1,076, but the bulk of this is actually attorney's fees. And so I have a feeling that the original amount with the HOA was probably very low. $374 was the amount to begin with. And you can see how from $374, it starts to rapidly accelerate. And so it's going to rapidly accelerate just due to legal fees. And so there's an abstract of judgment, but this is what's going to lead us to foreclosure. And so because this is from the HOA, when I do this title search, anything from the HOA is going to get wiped. Remember, they're the ones that are foreclosing. So if it's a tax sale and the county is foreclosing on them, then the county should be getting their money, right? That's the way that it works. They want to get the back taxes. So it's the same thing here. The HOA wants to get their money. So what started at $314 has escalated. And if I go to our max bid sheet, we can see that the minimum bid, is $25.39. So this still blows my mind because to me, it doesn't make sense that the HOA can take your property, but this is the law and this is how it works. So there we go. Now, remember, though, I mentioned that it's important to be as thorough as possible. Before we get there, though, we are also going to search the name over here on the grantor side to see if there's any new documents that show up. So I just click the arrow button, click search. Here we go. And so in this case, you can see where they've transferred their interest. And so this is for a different property they sold. This one here, West Hampton. Here's our affidavit, though, from before. And then the same thing with the administration deed. Now, what you could do is you could get rid of that middle name. You could search it like that. You can see, does that bring up anything? Nope. Okay. Does this bring up anything? Nope. So from there, you could also search by just simply the legal description. So this is another way to approach things. So let's go ahead and do that. Southwest Crossing. I'm going to put that in here under subdivision. And the reason, again, that you may want to do this is just to be thorough, just to be safe. So we got Southwest Crossing, lot 75. Lot 75, block 2, section 4. Okay. So searching that, now this is actually going to be the chain of title from even earlier on, before Joseph even had an interest. So here you've got liens, you got deeds of trust, you got a whole bunch of stuff. There's more information that's come up now, but it's involving someone else. And so we're not too worried about that. But look at this. Pretty sure this is what, yes, that's right. That's right. That's right. So Southwest Crossing, when we just change it to SW, that actually brings up different results. So that's something that is important to pay attention to, because that may or may not be the same property. And so you can see that this is our property, 13714 Broken Bridge, Houston, Texas. And so that's where, you want to try as many variations as possible. And so even if we just got rid of this, Southwest, if we just have the word crossing, it doesn't bring anything up. And so that's why this stuff can be a bit finicky. And so you want to be able to see as many things as possible. So from there, we've got the chain of title. These things, though, are before our time. These are before, these are not for our interested party. This is Ebert Wells. So from there, though, yes, that's right, that's right, that's right. Let me do one more thing. Let's go back to the name.
My brain's melting a bit, Josh. And I've seen you do this a bunch of times, hundreds of times.
And like Josh was saying earlier, this stuff takes reps, right? So for anybody watching, one of the best things you can do is to go back and watch it and follow along. So as you're getting into this, it can seem a bit overwhelming, but the more reps you get, the more effective you're going to be. Like Josh is obviously, he's done this thousands and thousands of times and bid on thousands of properties. And the cool thing is, this is a real estate opportunity where you can do this from home. You can research these. It just takes a little bit of elbow grease, which sadly, in today's world, the internet is a double-edged sword because we get everything instantly, but most people aren't willing these days to put in a little bit of elbow grease for what it actually takes. And, there's deals that come up that can literally change lives at these auctions. Maybe you go to your first auction, you get something, maybe you don't. For me, it happened super quick. I went to a real estate training 4 days after I bought my first property, and I never looked back. We have people who come to these trainings. One of our favorite recent stories is a student came in just like you guys watching this stuff, was a little bit overwhelmed, but took action, and they got an over-the-counter deed. They bought it for $200, and by the time Josh, what was the details? They bought it for $200. It was a mobile home, was it?
Yeah, $15,000 is what they ended up selling it for.
Nice. So they got it for 200. Same process we're going through, cheap over the counter, $200. They had to pay another year taxes, was it?
They're just the closing fees, so they were all in for $1,000.
Nice. So they were all in for $1,000, sold it for 15, and just keep going, right? So, what we've shown you, or Josh, do you have more to go over on this one?
Yeah.
Great. Let's we can continue with this and then we can branch off a bit.
Okay, tight. All right. So the one other thing that I would sometimes do is just simply search their last name. So I put in Wells, but I wanted to narrow it down a little bit. So I took their name, going back here, I took their name, their last name, and I put in a little bit of the legal description. And I want to show you this little surprise that I had found. And coming down to the bottom, this is a lien affidavit. And so the interesting thing is that you can see they've spelt the legal description wrong. So instead of Southwest Crossings, it says Southwest Crossings. And then they also put the name wrong. And so the name, as far as how it should be filed, is Joseph Kelly Wells. That's how it should be filed. But they put Wells Joseph Kelly. And so I remember early on, I would do title searches and we would also pay for them from this guy that I was searching, or sorry, this guy that I had learned from. And he would find more stuff than I would find. And so it's through processes like this of being thorough and, just putting someone's last name and maybe a little bit of the description that you're actually going to find more. And again, this is just a county error, but it's still here. And so I was talking to the AI about it, and it was actually walking me through the process of how you could challenge something like this. And one of the cool ways that you could go about this, because remember, this is an HOA sale, so nothing gets wiped. So this lien for $2,273.25 isn't going to go away. But because it was filed the wrong way, what you could simply do is challenge it, and they would have to then put in the legwork. They would have to hire an attorney, for instance, and kind of put the elbow grease into this. And so for that amount of money, maybe they're not going to do it. Maybe it's just going to go away. But the other thing too is that this gives you a little bit of insight into the property, and so you can see that this was from 2024, that a new garage door was put on. So it's like, oh, okay, so you know what? Someone is living there. They've got a garage door on it. So at this point now, the title search aspect would be complete. It would be finished. But because this is not a tax sale property, what's another thing that could be outstanding, that could be a large cost to us? And that is, of course, the taxes. Because remember, HOA sale taxes are not going to get wiped. But at this point, we didn't see any mortgages. And so that's what really trips up HOA sales, is that the mortgage is not going to get wiped. But in this case, we've got a property with no mortgage. So these are really, really good properties to get at HOA sales. So this is exactly what we're looking for. So you can see the mortgage balance, $0. And so people are going to be bidding on this as if there's no mortgage. And if there was a $500,000 mortgage on it, they'd probably be bidding the same. But we need to then go ahead and see what are the taxes that are owed, because remember, HOA sale. So to do that, Harris County Tax Collector. So we need to figure out what are the taxes. Now, maybe it's just a year of taxes, maybe it's 2, so it shouldn't be too much. It shouldn't be much at all, but we still have got to be thorough. We still got to check, right? So let's go ahead. Let's take that property address here. I'm going to throw it into this section. Give it a search. Here we go. You can still see our guy, Joseph Kelly Wells, public information. Here's the account number. So it shouldn't be too much. It should just be a year or 2. Let's have a peek so we can verify. Whoa. Holy smokes. Now, how is that possible? How, oh, how, oh, how? And that's right. $47,593. Total amount due, $51,599. So you can see how that could be a problem, right? This $51,000, this is way, way, way bigger than the mechanics lien, which was $2,000. This is a huge amount of money. And so this is why you've got to be doing the due diligence. And so for us, we're taking off the $2,500 for the mechanics lien. We're setting aside $3,000 cash for keys. We're setting aside money for tax title services, and then the whopping $52,000 for taxes to give us a max bid. And so if someone comes in, they see that this property is worth, $265,000. If they get it for $150,000, let's say, there could be a mortgage. In this case, there's no mortgage, but with the $52,000 in taxes, that's outrageous. And so that's why we wanted to make this video, because you've got to do the title search. You've got to see if there's a mortgage on file. You got to open up that warranty deed, see what it is. You've got to Google the terms. You got to wrestle through it. And now, because it is an HOA sale, you don't really need to open up the lawsuit, but I'm just going to show you how to do that really quickly to take it to the finish line. That's going to be Harris County District Clerk. This is more important for a tax sale property. And so if I was just to explain it really quickly, a tax sale property lawsuit, you would come in here, you'd put the case number. You're just looking to see that everything you find on title is in here. So let's pretend for a moment that this was a tax sale property. We would want to see everybody who has an interest in the property in the lawsuit. So here's where you see the lawsuit. So you can see that it's Southwest Crossing Homeowners Association against Joseph Kelly Wells. So it's not the county. We can see that in the name here. And you open up and I just grabbed the case file. It's on this website. They have it here. So pretty much any sale in Texas, you're going to find the case cause number. So we threw that into the district clerk. Then you can come in here. You can see the interested parties. So here's the interested parties. And of course, because this is not a tax sale, we don't see the mechanics lien holder. But if this was a tax sale, remember, everything should get wiped. So we would want to see everybody in here. And then you can come into images, and they've actually got everything here from the very first original petition. So then letting them know, hey, things are not going well. We need this money, all the way to them saying, this is now going to a foreclosure sale. In this case, HOA foreclosure sale. So lawsuit report, that's exactly what we're doing when we open this up. We're doing a report and seeing that everybody who is on title is in here. But again, HOA sales, nothing gets wiped, so it's not as important. Obviously, you'd want to make sure that they're suing the owner, because if they were suing someone else, that would be a problem. But again, tax sale, very important. The lawsuit is very important. It's not opening it quickly for me. So maybe we'll let that go. I might just try it one more time again. Okay, there it is. So here's what it looks like. You can see how this started, what the amounts for the attorneys are, and there you've got the order. So that's letting them know that the HOA is foreclosing on them. They've got the court date, and then interest, penalties, breakdowns, things like that. So if this was a property that you were interested in bidding on, and you did not account for the $52,000 in taxes and the mechanics lien, which is actually small, it would still be a very painful experience. And so we've seen a lot worse than this. These are only the good deals. And so when we started off, this was everything that we were interested in. So it was a much bigger list. And then after doing the title search, realizing there was way less. But we've seen some crazy things happen. And so again, HOA is going to be the plaintiff. You got to make sure that you're looking at the right stuff. So yeah, that's how you do it. The brain hurts. I've been there. I've been there, and a lot of
Nice.
people have been there too. But that's
Nice.
the process.
Thanks, Josh. So that is the walkthrough of a title process. So when we're out in the field, we're doing this for the properties that we're interested in. And as you can see, that really kicked up a lot of things that kind of came up out of the blue. And these are situations that a rookie or a novice, we see it at the auction every month, where people, it's nuts. They just go bid and they have no idea what they're doing. And then they end up inheriting, problems that they're not going to be able to get out of, and can sink them. And the lovely thing about liens and deeds is you have a vehicle where you can make a lot of money. But with anything does come some risk, right? So that's why we're here, to try to help you guys learn the process to be able to avoid that risk. And I know what we went through here today is a pretty big chunk, right? And the best thing to do is to go back, watch it, follow along, and basically take your time with it and learn it, right? Because a lot of this can be overwhelming. And that's why our goal with the business, as far as what we do, is to provide as much value as humanly possible to the tax lien and deed community. And we try to do that through the YouTube channel here, which many of you guys have probably seen. If you haven't, go subscribe. We have 94,000 subscribers, over 3,500 videos on tax liens and deeds to help you guys get in the game there. And then we've recently relaunched our site, which is taxlienschool.com, and we created the Tax Lien School Knowledge Vault. And to the best of our understanding, this is the most valuable free resource out there when it comes to tax lien and deed investing. We have all of the tax lien and deed counties, catalogs. We have an interactive map, so all you have to do is click on it. If you want more information about the state, you just click on it. We have comprehensive breakdowns of every single state that is here. You just go and create a username and password, and you'll be in the game. from here, this thing took thousands of hours to create, and it is a free resource to help you on your journey with tax liens and deeds. We have articles, we have a community forum, we have an auction calendar that you can go and see upcoming auctions that are happening. And once again, there's a full-time team behind all of this that is totally free for everybody to get involved. Now, I was mentioning this the other day as far as when it comes to getting started with tax liens and deeds. Like at the end of the day, like we pretty much show you guys everything. Like we put it all out there on the website, and when it comes to learning stuff, you can learn anything you want on the internet for free these days, right? Whether it's tax liens, foreclosures, commercial real estate. You know, think about all of the courses that you've been to, all of the videos that you've watched. And at the end of the day, there's a massive gap that most people experience where they find themselves year after year just consuming content and not taking any type of action. And part of the problem here is it feels good to watch this stuff, right? It feels good to watch a deep dive, but it's that classic saying that I've used before. It's like, just because you read the menu doesn't mean you're going to get full. And that's what a lot of people do is they watch the content, they feel like they're doing something, but they haven't executed, right? And it can be overwhelming. And recently I've had the reflection of like, okay, what is the gap, right? And if you've seen any of our videos, one of the big gaps is when you look at, well, first let me pre-frame this and say there's two types of people, right? There's the type of person who does take this instructions, and we only hear from them after they do a deal. They're like, hey, I watched the video. I downloaded the free book. I got this deal. I made 50, 100,000 bucks, and that's awesome. And they go, right? And that's the type of person who buys a cookbook and gets all the ingredients and makes it at home, which is great. Everybody loves that. Whereas there's somebody like me who is terrible with a cookbook. You know, I want to go to a restaurant and just eat the meal, right? So what we've realized just so much, if depending on which camp that you're in, and it's very easy to identify this. Ask yourself the question, one, do you want to make money in real estate? Yes or no? Okay, yes. Two, how long have you been consuming real estate content for and you haven't gotten a deal, right? If it's a year, 2 years, 5 years, then what I've identified is what is, I think, the biggest problem. And that is when you look at anything you've ever done in your life, you know, driving a car, learning how to walk, learning how to swim in your profession. You know, Corey, Josh, they play guitar. Anything of significance you've done in your life, what's the common denominator? And that is generally that there's somebody there to help you one-on-one. And that's really what we do these days is, you know, most of you guys have this book. We used to sell it. Now we give it away. And at the end of the day, we have a recipe and a restaurant. You know, you can have the recipes for free, but we also have a great restaurant where we can provide you with the one-on-one help and the hand-holding. So for example, everything that Josh just went over here, say you have a deal, we can double check your work. We can show you where to go, what to avoid, and really save you some years of trial and error. And I made a video this weekend where I always have this guy on my desk, which is my sands through the hourglass, and time is running out for all of us. And the last thing I want is for somebody to be here this time next year watching the same videos without taking action, because we don't know how many of these we have left. And for anybody who's serious about taking action in real estate, we offer an opportunity to help you one-on-one. And full transparency, it is a business for us, right? People say, if it works so good, why do you teach it? Well, we've paid our dues, we've figured out the recipe, and we've figured out how to cook the meal. And there's people who want that help. We have no shame providing that help. It helps bring us more deals. It just lifts, it rises all of the boats. And these days, there's a huge lack of trust in the market when it comes to boot camps and training and mentorship. And the thing that we like to display with our free content, with the books, is like, hey, we're the real deal. We're not going anywhere. We've been around for over 10 years. So if you want some one-on-one help with this stuff, you can book a totally free call with us, and we can see if it makes sense to work together. We can build you a custom plan. We can take you by the hand and really show you how to do this and just make sure you take action and hold you to this and hold you accountable. So is it for everybody? No, but if you're somebody who wants a recipe and some hand-holding to do this, and that's what we offer. So there's a link. Corey posted it here. You can just come and simply book a call. It's a free call with us. From here, when you click that link, it's just a simple page that looks like this. Where are we? You can go to Tax Lien School /call and just go ahead, schedule a call. It's totally free. Select a time that works for you. You'll talk to one of our success coaches. And from there, we can determine if it makes sense to work together. If it doesn't, that's fine too. We have tons of free content. But at the end of the day, we're really just wasting time if we're going through this stuff and not taking action. That is my, whether you're taking action on your own without us or with us, that's all we care about is that. Because if you can make yourself, healthy and successful, that's really when you can have the biggest impact on the world, on yourself. If you want to set yourself up for retirement, this is a great tool to do it. So there's going to be a link below as well. If you want, you guys can go schedule a call. We'd love to hear from you. We have folks on standby right now to take calls. If not, we have more webinars, more trainings coming up, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Awesome. See you, everybody.
All right, everybody.
Peace.
Thanks
Later.
a lot. Ciao.